Hey guys, Ash Awesome here today. Alongside Destiny Forsaken, Bungie released a Season Pass, an attempt to make sure there wouldn't be a massive content drought. We'll be answering the question, was that content any good?
Don't you think you've done too many Destiny videos?
Come again?
Don't you think you've done too many Destiny videos?
Can you repeat that one more time?
Don't you think you've done too many Destiny
How do these people constantly get over here? It's actually kind of insane. Do they swim or what? Wait a minute. Is this?
Welcome to the Black Armory.
Black Armory was the first thing to come out of the Season Pass, and introduced a weapon which I have grown to despise, but I'm getting ahead of myself. You start the update by visiting a spider, then getting introduced to the main character of this season, Ada. She introduces you to the gameplay loop. Get weapons from her to forge, and unlock forges over time. Right out of the gate, you needed to be 615 light. This was lowered later on though. The game prior to this update had its light level capped at 600. There was also no way to level up with the new content, so people had to play old content in order to play the new stuff, artificially increasing content. Once you get to the forge and forge the hammerhead, you gained access to part of the arsenal per week. This was changed to all the weapons the following season. The two reasons why this update didn't quickly flop was A, the weapons you could get. To put it bluntly, nearly all of them were borderline overpowered. This made it incredibly desirable to obtain either god or curated roles. The second was the puzzle involving the Bergusia Forge. As for the raid, it was an overglorified strike. It is somewhat fun, but not all that challenging. Overall, it gave Destiny an era of god-tier weapons, and lots of them would find use in the following season. Season of the Drifter is my personal favorite season. What was that? That comment was a thorn in your side? Truth is, by the end of these puns, I'll be having the last laugh. N-word. This part can be real quick for you. Do you like Gambit? No? It was the worst season, hands down. If you did like Gambit though, Season of the Drifter introduced two new activities that were also the gameplay loop. Gambit Prime and Reckoning. Gambit Prime is similar to regular Gambit. Bank motes and be the first to kill your boss. What changes is the new armor that goes along with it. When you do stuff in Gambit Prime and or complete a match, you get a synth. Go back to the Drifter to get a hold of a synthesizer, complete certain bounties to upgrade said synthesizer, and forge better armor. Now for armor, the armor is divided into 4 light roles per se. Collect motes, kill blockers, kill ads, kill people. Each armor has 4 perks, and you unlock these perks by getting better armor. Basically, it makes you very powerful, not really broken, at your role. I am an invader, and the invader set allows me to go from a minor nuisance that's about to get yotened to this. All the armor does is to amplify the chaos in Gambit, which is a welcome change instead of the stale repetitiveness of Gambit regular. This is the part I talk about Reckoning. I'll save it for the end. I don't want to talk about it just yet. Alongside Reckoning and Gambit Prime, you had a pretty interesting side story. Depending on who you sided with in this side story, you got different weekly rewards and the ability to complete one of 2 lore books. Alongside this, Xur decided to sell even more story, and you ended up getting some backstory to the Drifter. Yes, at this point it is story inception. Overall, this aspect of the update was well executed, and if you haven't played it, A, you're late, and B, play it if you're able to. Also nice to know that the big decision is per character base, so if you wanted to see the other side, you can do it on another character. Honestly though, 80% of the content is the same. Now for Reckoning. Oh dear lord. I will say this right now. This is the worst activity in Destiny's history. Period. Please note that this update did not come with a raid. This was the new PvE content for people. And it was terrible. Especially Tier 3. Rewinding back a bit, the Reckoning is divided into 3 tiers, and each tier gets progressively harder. The other tiers are fine and boring, but in order to get the best Gambit Prime armor, you need to do Tier 3. At Tier 3, the encounter is divided into 3 parts. Kill ads, make a bridge, and kill the boss. There are only 2 bosses and they change per week, so replay value is not all that great. The absolute rage fest starts, and is almost exclusively held, at the bridge. I hate it. I really do. I absolutely despise this part. On the bridge, you're fighting 2 kinds of enemies. Endless thralls, and enemies that will send you flying. The main issue with Reckoning is the kind of difficulty it brings to the table. It's artificial difficulty. Say, for example, the raid. We'll take Crota's End since they compared it to this.
Think the Crota raid from D1.
Crota's End's difficulty relies on mechanics more than the enemies, and the enemies end up integrating themselves into said mechanics. Take the first encounter, which is just a longer version of the bridge. The thralls are the main threat throughout most of the encounter. The only way you could get caught up in them is if you were doofus and didn't run fast enough and you didn't shoot them. It was able to persuade the player that if they failed, it was due to their lack of skill. This bullcrap doesn't. There are so many variables with snipers, thralls, and big boys that it no longer becomes fun. All of this changes from putting the blame of failure on the player to the content itself, making it less fun to complete. If you are bored with that previous explanation, I'll sum it up with this. You have 5 seconds to get to a pad, with 40 enemies in your way. If you get off that pad, you fail, and this happens 80% of the time. Repeat 6 times and voila, you have the bridge. The bosses aren't really that interesting. One is a reskin from Destiny 1 with a lot of health, and the other is 2 reskins from a reskin of Destiny 1 that can instantly kill you, and has the same issues as the bridge, except a little bit toned down. A little. It doesn't help that I had to do this successfully, around 35 times, in order to get the full Invader set, since I was missing the gauntlets. I'd just like to let you know that this thing only tracks successful completions. I had failed it a lot more. Also, you rarely get a full team that's in Reckoning, and with this kind of baloney, every man makes a difference. That's it for the Drifter. An awesome game mode and the worst PvE experience ever. This is actually a good update, for once. So the content loop for the final update revolves around a cup. You couple it with the new activity Menagerie and a new raid, you have a pretty good update. Wait. Couple. Cup. Oh! So how the loop works is that the chalice gives you the specific kind of loot you want. Say, if you wanted a 180 rounds per minute hand cannon with a masterwork and reload speed, you can do that. You upgrade the chalice with Imperials that come from nearly anywhere. And these upgrades give even more powerful gear, more access to different kinds of runes, and more weekly bounties from Benedict. In order to get the hypothetical 180 hand cannon, you have to go complete Menagerie. It is a 6-player match-made activity with scaled-down raid encounters. You complete enough of those, kill the boss, and you can redeem your loot. Already, the two main issues with Reckoning were fixed in this activity, so no one would be like me, completing it 30-something times for gloves. Honestly, not much to say with this, except it gives the players a sort of raid-light experience. Speaking of the raid, Crown of Sorrows was released, and for the most part, it was well put together. It was definitely harder than Scourge of the Past, even though they both had the same amount of raid encounters. And the Blessed mechanic was definitely a refreshing change to the raid formula, and the boss was challenging on day 1. Only on day 1 though, since a few days later, a team of 2 beat the final boss. Yeesh. Overall, Destiny's updates were decent. They only kept the game alive for a couple of months at a time, just like they were supposed to. If you're thinking about getting back into Destiny, and you already have Forsaken, I would recommend for you to join now. If you're thinking about getting into Destiny, wait. In a couple of months, Destiny will be introducing a free-to-play version, which will include a lot of content that you would have to pay for right now. I am Ash Awesome. If this video uploads on time, I will be on vacation, so no videos for a while. Thanks for watching.